Shrouded in vines and overgrown shrubbery, this is Dad's workshop. Dad is George, and this is him redefining the term retirement. This is his noisy, sawdust-filled fortress of solitude. It's where he finds art hidden deep inside blocks of wood.
When I started, there was no club here. And from the time I learned until I decided to go back into it, the whole world had changed.
George first started working with wood in high school. After working at the hospital in Quesnel as a carpenter for over 25 years, he decided to go against the grain and to use his lathe to produce art. The journey hasn't been easy though. Over time, George has spent thousands of dollars in training and tools that he didn't need.
Chisel.
It's why he started the Quesnel Wood Turners Guild to help others learn from his mistakes and understand the art of wood turning.
The thing with it is to decide what direction you're going and buy the minimal tools when you start. Normally you start with spindle work. It's fairly simple, fairly safe to do, and to learn how to use the tools and know what to expect when you put a tool to a piece of wood.
And it's an understanding he's got after spending hours away in his shop. By his own admission, this creator spends about 5 to 7 hours a day working on his skills.
Practice is incredible. I had one guy wanting to turn lathes, and at the time I had an order for 100 wine glasses, and the pieces of wood were just 3 by 3 by 5 inches long, and I needed them to have a foot on to hold in the chuck and them to be round. So I gave him a box full of wood and told him to take them home and bring them back round. And in that process, he learned how to use his tools. He never made anything. And this is one of the hardest things when you first start out. You want to actually make something where you should be just turning pieces of wood to nothing so that you learn what your tools will do in the lathe. The big thing with making these wooden scoops is to have a perfect ball.
George showcases these skills to attract new wood turners at public events like the Quesnel Farmers Market. While most of his work is utilitarian, George is a member of online wood turning guilds as well. It's where he indulges himself in challenges that showcase the artistic and precise nature of wood turning.
The object of the challenge was the longest single piece, unsupported, with a natural edge. And I missed by 1/4 of an inch. The guy that won the challenge was 13.5 and mine is 13. It's just nice to keep challenging yourself and trying to make more interesting pieces.
Wood turning is also a good way to learn the art of patience. When George first receives a piece of wood, he roughs it out. He then leaves the wood on this shelf to dry. It could be anywhere between 3 months to 3 years before he goes in to complete the piece.
Most of everything that I turn is basically a year old before people get it. And I can feel confident that when I sell you a salad bowl, 70 years from now, still be in one piece and it won't be cracked.
One of the biggest things that George and his club focus on is safety. It's one of the fundamentals that most wood turners are introduced to with an acronym, SAFER. Here's what SAFER stands for.
You always set your tool rest up as close as you possibly can to the wood. And you know if your finger's on the opposite side of the tool rest, a good chance the wood's going to grab it and beat it to death. I mean, there's no use having a hobby that takes a finger off or you lose an eye or something like that.
The Quesnel Wood Turners Guild now has 15 members and is looking for new members to join. The cost to be a part of this group of creators is $20 a year.
It's very satisfying. It's always incredibly interesting to see what comes out of a raw piece of wood. Sometimes it goes in the heater, heats the shop. Sometimes it turns out to be a nice piece of art.
For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Anand Chani.